Hey, what's up? This is Brandon Simmons from BrandonSimmons.biz. This is my weekly video blog called Bullheaded, a review of the Houston Texans news, as well as a preview of the upcoming game matchups. So, this week, the Texans will be hosting the Los Angeles Chargers in the final home game of the year, for the calendar year, and the final game of the calendar year as well. So, before I get into all that, first I want to do a quick game recap of, from last week's win. So, the first thing I want to start off with is that we actually won. So, those are very hard to come by, obviously, this season. So, a couple of notes I took. Um, Mills, he did good. Had 209 yards, two touchdowns, and a pick. Actually threw a touchdown on the first drive, but both touchdowns going to going to Brandon Cooks. Um, as far as our team overall, they just played a great performance. They started off with the 14-3 lead. You know, first with Mills, obviously with Mills touchdown, but then with the kickoff return by Smith for 98 yards. Definitely a strong play right there. Obviously, a big play right there early on in the game. As far as the defense, 3 sacks by the defense, and mostly I have to just say, just overall, this team played great, um, and that's pretty outstanding considering that 7 players are out due to either COVID or injury. And so just to see them like kind of overcome all of that, to pull off this W, is a huge deal. And yeah, it's Jacksonville, but whatever. So a win is a win in these days and times. So speaking of that, my main topic that I wanted to talk about this week is kind of how the wins and losses are going to be interchanging these last few games. And so, like I said, we got to win, over Jacksonville. But, during the game, they were showing the whole draft order. So they were showing Detroit, being first and Jacksonville being second. And so, right now, for teams that are just pretty much out of the playoffs, but not just out of the playoffs, but I mean like down at the bottom of the barrel, as far as like just standings and everything. This draft is the draft is going to be really important. It's all they're going to be quote unquote playing for. Um, they have you know they squandered their seasons off or whatever, and so now it's saying these number, whether they're picking number one, number two, number three, so on and so on. That's going to be the most important thing to them. For Detroit, they've just won a game, probably a couple their first game like just a couple weeks ago. Jacksonville, they just been Jacksonville, and we all know the Texans what our situation is, and so with that being said, um, this particular draft. Let's see what my notes say. Okay, so yeah. Um, so yeah, just as the season winds down, there's nothing left for these guys to play for other than draft position. And so, if they win, it's a lot of fans are probably gonna be more upset if their favorite team, wins as opposed to a loss, considering where they are in this position. As far as the Texans go, I think I think a lot of fans have kind of settled into that sentiment a little bit as things are, kind of getting closer to winding down and all this stuff. I would probably say it was after the Jets game. When I came on here and I said, everybody's just kind of shocked that they would lose to the Jets, but I'm like, I'm not that shocked. I mean, they probably shouldn't have, but it's not shocking that they did. So, um, but just knowing that, these games are coming up, or this time was coming up, where it's like, they're probably, scrambling to just see what they have left in a season that's been, just kind of wasted or whatever. So, um, but back to that, I would say, as far as this particular draft, I think just judging by like what teams are there right now, and I'm just looking at these 3 teams, it looks like it's just going to be the type of draft where it's like, you know, you get the best available draft. In years past, it's always been like, go after the quarterback and this wide receiver and blah blah blah. But it's really seems like whoever is up there at the top three, top five, then you go after them. And so looking at Detroit, you know they've just been beaten for most of the year. So for them, it would be understandable if they come in and just kind of bring in like a franchise type player. Just whether it's a defensive end, and it's looking like it's defensive players um, that these prospect sheets or these websites are putting out as their top prospects. Same thing with Jacksonville. They've already got franchise. I think this draft makes a lot of sense for Jacksonville. It'll probably be beneficial for Jacksonville since they already have their potential franchise quarterback. They're probably going to be bringing in. They are going to be bringing in a new coach and everything. And then they're going to get Travis Etienne. I hope I said the name right. They're going to get Travis Etienne back next season after he had a season ending injury. During the preseason or whatever, during training camp. And as far as the Texans go, I mean, we all know that situation. So it's like, they're pretty much going to be starting over. I think the Texans are probably just going to be uh, really starting over from scratch. We do need a QB, I would say at this point in time, but everybody's sentiment is, and not just with Texas fans, there seems to be a lot of the sentiment that none of these quarterbacks are that spectacular, and the ones that were showing up like in the first round, they're like way at the bottom. So, and I don't think the Texans are going to risk trading down from where they're at right now to go after any of these quarterbacks that they don't, if they don't feel like they're franchise worthy. Um, so with that being said, just looking at some of the prospect lists, I was just looking on a sporting news website, and it seems like it's just it's just the same. I think it was, who else? It was Sporting News and another website. I looked it up. I think it might have been USA Today that I was checking out as well. Oh, sorry, not USA Today, but Pro Football Focus. So it seems like they have pretty much the same players sitting in the top three, four positions. So obviously they have the two defensive ends. They have Oregon's Kayvon Thibodeau. They also have Michigan's Aiden Hutchinson sitting there both, one and two, switching spots on both websites. What seems to remain at number three is safety Kyle Hamilton. And yes, I got the name right. So safety Kyle Hamilton from Notre Dame. And so, when I look at those, I think like, we probably could use a couple defensive ends. But even scrolling down the list, just thinking about, Hamilton or whatever, I think, we could definitely use a little bit more consistency in our secondary. And what I mean by that is, I think we should get somebody that's, probably fits what Lovie Smith is trying to do in the system. You know, every other week it seems like, Justin Reed's getting benched, Lonnie Johnson's getting benched. We're cutting this player, that player. You know what I'm saying? We're moving these players around to cornerback and everything. And so I think it's really going to help. Okay, all right, I think it's really going to help. If we just bring a player in that that can mold within that area, because that particular area I think really, really needs some help. And so if we bring a guy in, at safety or at cornerback or just in our secondary, just something to help, Lovie Smith out as far as like molding his defense. If those guys are, Hutchinson and, Thibodeau, um, if those guys are, stay at number one and number two, I don't see how Houston can I don't see how we can actually move up into number two, especially if Detroit and Jacksonville are there right now, because I feel like that. It's pretty much set, and I don't think they're going to win any more games for the rest of the year or want to win any more games for the rest of the year, just like us. So I think Houston will probably stay at number three because I don't think we're going to win any more games for the rest of the year. We got a really, really tough schedule coming up ahead. And so, yeah, it starts with the Chargers this Sunday. But after that, we're going on the road to the 49ers, a potential playoff team. I think they might be sitting at number six right now in the NFC. So if they hold on to that, uh, they'll they'll definitely be they'll definitely be looking to hold on to that. So I think it's something that they're gonna be waiting for us as that game to kind of just be their boost to carry them into the playoffs. And also we got the Titans at the end of the year. So um, with those Titans games, I mean, hey, it was tricky. Like I said, for the last Titans game, those rivalry games are tricky, because they'll come after you one way or another. So I think, with this Titans game, it could be a little bit tricky where, they'll probably slip up or whatever, but um, I'm not sure if that is the actual case. And even with that, I think maybe Tennessee has a division wrapped up by then, and they put their second string out just to rest the players and all that other stuff because it doesn't look like Tennessee's going to catch the one seed at all. Um, so they'll probably just put their players out there just to like rest them right before the postseason. If they don't have the division wrapped up by then, if Tennessee has it wrapped up by then I think if Tennessee does not have the division wrapped up by the time they play us, then yeah, they're definitely going to pull their starters out there, and that'll that may or may, that even then that may or may not guarantee us a loss and improve our draft position. But yeah, definitely as far as the Texans draft position go for the outlook, I think we're probably going to be staying at three for right now. Um, so we could have a slight chance of getting Thibodeau or Hutchinson, but I'm definitely cool with getting the other guys that's listed at number three and four for right now. Those lists could change. Senior Bowl is still coming up, Combine still coming up, so who knows if those guys actually get pushed down or get pushed up. So we'll see. But this Sunday, actually, we'll have to get through the Chargers first, and just kind of get that game going. And so, really, with the Chargers, it's just a few things that the Texans. A few things I would like to see from the Texans, if you will. So, number one, forced turnovers. Herbert, Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert, fifth in the league in interceptions. So forced him to make those mistakes. Yes, he's playing pretty great this year, but also I'm saying it's his second year. He's still kind of young, so he's a gunslinger, so he's gonna take those chances. So just force him to make those mistakes when he's trying to push the ball down the field. Um, they they have like quite a few players out for COVID. Importantly, they have Joey Bosa and Austin Eckler out. And so that's going to provide a little bit of relief for both sides of the ball. So with Bosa, you won't have as strong a pass rush as you would if he was in there. And that'll be helpful for Davis Mills being able to get the ball down the field or getting rid of the ball. Eckler, uh, that's going to provide a little bit of relief for our defense. They still got some running backs in there that could, really just uh, they can really run with the football if they want to. But I think, Eckler is going to be him being out of that game is going to be a big piece of the offense that they're going to miss. He can run out the backfield. He can catch out the backfield in addition to running. So that's going to be a little bit of relief on our defense to actually focus on Herbert to force those interceptions. Last thing, or third and final thing, attack on third down. Chargers give up a league worst 49.7% on third down conversions. So what the Texans need to do is just keep these third downs manageable. 3rd and 5 or lower. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. And, just keep them in that area. That way they can, convert them and, wear that Chargers defense down on the field and keep the Chargers offense off the field to keep them out of rhythm. So, those are three things they got to do. Number one, force the turnovers. Number two, those are three keys for the Texans in this game. Forcing turnovers. Number one, forcing turnovers. Number two, take advantage of some of these players being out for COVID. And number three, attack on third down. So that's all I got for y'all this week. Merry Christmas, drive safe, all that good stuff. I'm Brandon Simmons from Brandon Simmons Biz. Holla black.